Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Xometry Live, Advancing Women in Manufacturing. To begin our program today, I'm very excited to introduce Cathy Ma, the Vice President of Platform Growth and Engagement at Thomas, a Xometry company.
Thank you, everyone, for joining today's event. We have a great program today, starting with my one-on-one conversation with Allison Grealis, the president of Women in Manufacturing and the Women in Manufacturing Education Foundation. Together, we will review the results of our joint survey and examine closely the insights and call to actions reviewed by the survey. Allison will also share with us a special initiative Women in Manufacturing is undertaking with Kia. Sophia MacDonald, the Chief People Officer at Xometry, will then join us to discuss why strengthening American manufacturing begins with a diverse workforce. And we'll cap our program this afternoon with a great conversation moderated by Cathy Mayerhofer, the Chief Sales Officer at Xometry, who will be joined by Rose from CareFirst, Bravina from NIST MEP, and Jennifer from Kia for an insightful panel discussion. Now, before we jump right in, I know you're very ready for that. Let's go through a few quick housekeeping. Number one, join our conversation using the hashtag Women in Manufacturing. We're active across LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. Secondly, feel free to submit your question. In your GoToWebinar console, you will see a question section throughout the presentation. Feel free to let us know what you think, how you feel, and share your questions with us. If we have time at the end, we'll definitely want to address them. And also, all the resources mentioned today will be circulated via email, so no need to frantically take notes, and we'll also be recording today's webinar. Now, let's jump right in. First part, we're going to talk about how data can help us advance women in manufacturing through our joint report with Women in Manufacturing. So I'm Cathy Ma. I'm the VP of Platform Growth for Xometry. If you hear that I have a bit of an odd accent, I actually grew up in Hong Kong, and my grandfather owned a toy factory in the 80s and 90s. I basically went to London and studied sociology and knowledge creation through Wikipedia. And I kind of fell into audience development through my passion for data and storytelling. And for the last 15 years, I've been advocating for creating more opportunities for all. And being in manufacturing really is a great platform for us to create great job opportunities and push the boundaries a little bit further. And Allison, over to you.
Yes, great. Thank you, Cathy, for the introduction. And the Women in Manufacturing Association and Education Foundation is thrilled to be a part of our discussion and review of our 2022 data here today. I am the president and founder of the Women in Manufacturing Association and Education Foundation. We are now nearly 12,000 members strong, with members in 48 states and 40 countries. And we also year-round support 30 local chapters that deliver access close to home for training, education, development, and networking. So thrilled to be here with you for this discussion and for us to release and discuss the report.
Thank you, Allison. So let's talk about, how women perceive our industry and how many of them recommend a career in manufacturing. When we push a survey out, we ask a question, how likely are you to recommend a career in manufacturing? And we are quite delighted to hear that 3 in 4 participants who are women or self-identified as women recommend a career in manufacturing. It's a really positive trend, although there's still a bit of gap between female and male respondents. As you can see, only 39% of women say that they're very likely going to recommend a career, whereas men are 49%. From your perspective, because you're so connected with different sectors and different regions, is it a trend that you've observed?
We definitely have seen since our work began and our organization started more than a decade ago that the women who are in manufacturing careers generally are great spokespeople and ambassadors for the industry. While it's not always been easy for them professionally as they've advanced in their career and risen the ranks in their organizations and within the industry, the vast majority of them do highly recommend a career in manufacturing, but they do want future generations to understand that there could be some challenges, and we find that the vast majority of our members as well are really passionate ambassadors for future generations for women in industry and manufacturing to provide that guidance and support to help them be successful once they enter into a career in manufacturing.
That's really good to know. And the second really interesting piece of insights reviewed by our survey is that STEM programs are the most effective drivers for women to pursue a manufacturing career. Now you can see that 48% of female we surveyed say that they graduated from a STEM program, and 27% was interested in manufacturing. So it's almost like STEM programs is this really great career conveyor belt that propel a lot of female leaders and female manufacturing participants in the sector. Whereas if you look at the data for male counterparts, 55% of them were interested in manufacturing to start with. Now, what does your organization feel about this, and are you encouraged that STEM programs is such an effective means?
Yeah, we feel that STEM programming and STEM awareness and education are very powerful programs and deliver a great pipeline for individuals of women, specifically who could be interested in manufacturing careers. You know, our 30 chapters that we have throughout the country, they have made great alliances and relationships with local educational institutions. Community colleges have done outreach activities in K through 12 institutions. But STEM programs are really important, and they've made a huge impact over the last decade to encourage and excite and interest more young women to go into manufacturing careers. I think specifically around robotics and engineering, programs that have a focus in that direction and in those areas have been especially effective in getting girls interested and aware of opportunities that are in those spaces and applications within manufacturing.
That is really great to hear. And personally, I spend too much time on TikTok, but I'm seeing a lot of new female creators using 3D printing technologies to create their own devices and tools. And it's almost like breaking down a lot of, like beliefs, about who can do what. And it's very exciting to see. Now, let's talk about regional trends. We saw in our joint survey that Alabama and Virginia, they have the highest representation, while Connecticut has highest percentage in leadership positions. A lot of manufacturing kind of specialization happened by region. As we know, for example, for Connecticut and New Jersey, they are really strong in pharmaceutical and healthcare. What do you think this data is telling us?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of growth in the southeastern part of the United States, and I think that's been reflective in our membership numbers and the numbers of women connecting with us through those states as well. We've seen growth of chapters, so some of our, again, local programming, local communities growing in the southeastern part of the United States. Alabama and Virginia are just strong manufacturing states. Alabama in particular has some great companies that have kind of moved headquarters, operations, facilities to that state. So we see a growing number of transplant organizations and companies there, lots of connectivity to automotive and other verticals. And it's great to see that there are growing numbers of women in those states as well who are connected to manufacturing.
Thank you, Allison. And I like to really kind of spotlight also, once you're in manufacturing, what are the most effective means for you to excel in your career? From our survey, 44% of female respondents mentioned that leadership or management training, they are the most important avenue for them to grow their career, followed by mentorships. I know your organization, you and your members have been working tirelessly in pushing through different programs and initiatives. Could you talk us through a bit more about your work and also learning for the audience?
Sure. So, the Women Manufacturing Organization, we have been focused since inception on what are those right resources and tools to help advance individuals and women in manufacturing, as well as what are those right tools that we could offer for companies to help with their recruitment and their retention and advancement of their female talent. And we do have formal leadership programs that have been highly effective in helping women advance at their companies and in the industry. We have a program designed and delivered in our first ever graduating class of individuals from a program specifically designed for empowering women in production. So women at the hourly ranks who might not have ever been able to go to formal training and participate in education. That program is underway. We have a program for early career managers to help women as they take that first line and that first role of leadership. And then we have executive level women's programming as well. And we find these programs are highly effective. From the individuals that first participated in these programs 10 years ago when we first started offering them, The vast majority of them have been promoted since participation in the program, and also the vast majority of them are still in manufacturing. So we know they're effective tools and resources to help with advancement and retention of women in industry.
Thank you, Allison. Now, for our listeners and viewers for this call, some of them may be curious about the resource available provided by Women in Manufacturing. How could they find out more about your organization and join your initiatives?
So we would love to have more individuals and companies connect to our organization. We are the only year-round trade association supporting, promoting, and inspiring women in industry. We have many resources that can be sought and found out about by visiting our website at www.womeninmanufacturing.org. And there you can learn more about all of our training, our educational resources. We have a huge amount of recruitment resources that companies can also tap into. So we encourage people to check out our website and get connected with WIM.
Thank you, Allison, and we'll make sure to include your resources in our follow-up email. So we can move on to the second part of our great programming. Let's talk about the fact that strengthening American manufacturing begins with a more diverse workforce. And I'm really proud to bring up Sophia MacDonald, our Chief People Officer at Xometry. Sophia, over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Cathy. I am honored and excited to be part of this discussion today. As the Chief People Officer of Xometry, I have an incredible opportunity to not only lead growth and change within my organization, I also have a voice as a female leader in this industry. And for those who may not know or be familiar with Xometry, we're a digital marketplace where engineers and enterprise buyers connect with manufacturers all over the world to make products that are the backbone of the global economy. Xometry, we're a publicly traded company since last year, and we work with companies across, really every industry, from aerospace to clean energy, electric vehicles, medical sciences, robotics, and more. And as a marketplace that matches the needs of buyers and sellers, we have a really unique vantage point into the overall industry. We can see what's around the corner, what sectors within manufacturing are in increasing demand, even which raw materials may be in short supply. One thing that we also see very clearly, near and dear to my heart as well, is the need for talent, which I think is an opportunity that creates incredible roadmaps and paths for diversity, really throughout and across the industry. And in my session today, I'd like to share 4 key actions, 4 key takeaways that each of us can take to ensure that our industry rises to meet the challenges of the future and continues to grow diversity within our industry. And these 4 areas are evangelizing our industry, advocating for women, embracing diversity, and leading by example. So we're seeing a revitalization of the manufacturing industry, even bringing technologies like Xometry to keep it moving forward. Federal government industry data and our own experience demonstrates this. And despite COVID, despite supply chain concerns, rising materials of cost of materials, manufacturing is holding up really well. Utilization figures are high, highest they've been in decades. It's an exciting time for this space. The result is strong customer demand, headwinds from reshoring initiatives and next generation industries that are evolving in real time as the pace of innovation continues to intensify. And that's some great news. The not so good news involves our most precious resource, which are people. Skills gaps have been widening in the wake of COVID. And to highlight a different study actually by Deloitte and the Manufacturing Institute, there's been 600,000 jobs that have been added over the last 6 years. However, the pandemic and the resulting effect is that it erased 1.4 million jobs seemingly overnight. And nearly half of those jobs have returned, but finding talent has never been harder. And it really takes a huge effort to do this, to find even an entry-level role or up to a senior engineer. And we're also seeing that many mid-level positions are requiring specific certifications, and it's challenging to find the skills needed within organizations. But what I'd like to do is share, and I'll go into the first action step here, 4 steps that we can continue to address to drive greater diversity into the talent pool. So the first being evangelizing an industry. And really, first and foremost, for starters, we can continue to evangelize the great professional and economic opportunities that the manufacturing industry presents. And just to share a little background about myself, I have been with Xometry for about a year and a half now. And prior to that, I came from a SaaS company. And it has been the most enriching and rewarding 18 months, I believe, of my career, being here at Xometry, just learning about this is such an incredible space to be in. And I scream from the rooftops and share the excitement about the organization and the industry with everybody who listens. So what's exciting behind that is that the global economy is really just, there's so much innovation happening. Really no industry will do more to usher in a better, cleaner, safer world than manufacturing. And we should take it as an obligation being in this space to share, tell that story far and wide. So as much as we can encourage more people to join the space, share the excitement, the innovation, the creativity, the building that happens within the space. And of course, from a professional standpoint, it is just tremendous, unlimited possibilities, tons of openings and opportunities, as I had shared before from some of those studies. And then really thinking about building better futures for themselves, long-standing jobs and careers that they can really feel proud and excited about. So as much as we can really do a good job of selling our own industry, and how we market our industry and the opportunities within it starts with us as advocates and champions. So next, advocating for women. As women, we know firsthand some of the challenges and opportunities that are inherent in this industry. And I'm inspired by stories that I hear since I've been with Xometry specifically in this industry and within the organization. I'm proud to work with women in senior leadership like myself who really persevere and pave new pathways for other women. But I strongly feel we have an obligation to continue to build and grow and advocate for more women in this industry. While women make up nearly half of the overall labor force at 47%, women account for just 30% of the manufacturing industry. And I imagine some of your reactions are thinking 30% even seems high. And then when you think about leadership, then the percentages drop down even further. Only 1 in 4 leaders in manufacturing are women. So what can we do? And it really starts by being visible, being active. Join organizations like Women in Manufacturing. Break new ground in celebrating successes and celebrating others. Forge allies. Be involved in talent pipelining, networking, and really, it really takes off when we are embracing, supporting, and championing each other and celebrating just these amazing careers within the space. And as Allison touched upon before, it certainly means a lot of investing in training and development and learning. Much of what we learn in any industry starts with on-the-job trainings. And particularly true in manufacturing, really at almost any level, that's a must. Also, for certain roles, certifications and very specialized skill sets are critical as well. We're seeing a rise in companies, Xometry included, setting aside larger amounts for professional and technical development. And we as women must also focus on creating a culture where women are given the same opportunities and support structures to succeed. And importantly, we need to actively encourage girls and young women to pursue vocational training, mechanical engineering degrees, and really just thinking about STEM opportunities overall. And as a mother of 2 kids, 1 boy and 1 girl, you bet that anytime we're talking about anything related to STEM, I might be over-indexing a little bit more on my daughter, but certainly encouraging as much engagement and enrichment in the excitement that I have in engineering and science. Embracing diversity next. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is a must for manufacturing. Diverse teams are more likely to be faster at problem solving, improved decision making, producing truly accessible goods and services, and demonstrating agility and increasing revenue and profits. And as we encourage more women to consider careers in manufacturing, so too must we encourage people from underrepresented communities to join our industry. And here at Xometry, we are actively investing in providing educational opportunities for those underrepresented communities and broader diverse groups as well. And just as I mentioned, we went public last year. We pledged 1% of the proceeds from that IPO to create a foundation to help support educational opportunities, to really drive those coming into STEM careers. So whether at the university level, elementary programs, or even partnering with other nonprofits, really just continuing to drive the increase in not just engagement and understanding and awareness, but also providing the funds and resources and opportunities to be able to really see those through. And we are very proud that nearly a quarter of our sellers within our network is helmed by a woman, a person of color, or veteran. We hope to do more to change the face of manufacturing to become even more diverse and inclusive over time. And we recognize that the role that technology can play in that. We built Xometry, the marketplace, to democratize the manufacturing industry and really give equal opportunities to all people, including women from many different backgrounds as well. And our technology is really helping to build the next generation of talent. And that also is integral to creating a diverse and deep workforce. And finally, let's lead by example. Innovation requires more than just material infrastructure. We need to invest in training the next generation with the skills that are essential to modern manufacturing today. And this starts with attracting, hiring, and training a more diverse group of people and supporting them through every step of their journey. Together, we can create real change and make the field that much more attractive to women and other diverse candidates by a number of factors, by offering your current workforce different internal and external opportunities for upskilling, reskilling, additional trainings, really thinking about building career paths within organizations and communicating that clearly to your team members, providing an inclusive culture, of course, and offering different types of mentorship and advocacy opportunities. Also thinking about just a diverse workforce, providing flexible work environments and having open conversations about work-life balance and challenges that people could see there. And also creating employee resource groups to be able to continue to advocate for women and diversity inclusion within the company. And it really will take a team effort to make this change. And if we continue to learn from each other and support one another, we can accomplish so much. Thank you so much for the time, and hope everyone enjoys the discussion.
Thank you, Sophia. And I'll be first to say, since we joined forces with Xometry, Sophia and her team, they have been working tirelessly in pushing different initiatives, creating platform, and also really a lot of safe space for all of us to share insights and push initiatives. So on behalf of everyone at Xometry, thank you, Sophia, and your team. Next, let's talk about how we can embolden women for careers in manufacturing. So we have a fantastic panel, and allow me to bring up Cathy Mayerhofer, Chief Sales Officer at Xometry, and her great panelists today. Cathy.
Hi, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Cathy. As everybody joins in, I'm happy to be here today. Hello, everybody. I'm Cathy Mayerhofer. I'm the Chief Sales Officer at Xometry, and I'm pleased to be joined today by three giants in the manufacturing industry whose leadership is shaking up the industry for the better. Before we begin, I do want to take a moment to share our thoughts on the events overseas. As a global company, we have employees and families who are directly affected, as I'm sure many of you do as well. I know you join me in sending them all of our love and support at this time. While the circumstances are beyond unfortunate, it is great that we can all be united in the face of tyranny. So as we begin today's conversation is all about lifting each other up and showing the next generation of employees, particularly women and people from diverse backgrounds, the great opportunities that exist in this really cool, great industry we call manufacturing. Manufacturing is changing. It's not our grandfather's industry. In fact, I think the really amazing thing is it's our industry to shape, to define, and pass on to future generations. I'm proud to work at an organization that prioritizes diverse representation. It's really important to me, to our customers, and to our company. As I look back at my career, I recollect on the number of accomplishments I have made, but I am most proud of the fact that I have learned from role models and hopefully have been a role model to many others. About 40% of my team is made up of women, and the percentage is only growing. It is my personal mission to grow it even further. And so with all that said, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing three of the greatest people in manufacturing and women I truly respect. Pravina Raghavan, Director of Hollings Manufacturing Extension Partnership at NIST. Rose Celestin, Manager of Procurement Operations at CareFirst. And Jennifer Pikus, Director of HR, Inclusion and Diversity and General Affairs at Kia. Let me pause here and extend an opportunity for each of you to say a few words about yourself, beginning with Pravina.
Well, thank you first for Xometry for putting on this exciting panel and also the study. It was amazing to see what you guys have been doing. My name's Pravina Raghavan. I am the Director for Manufacturing Extension Partnership. If you've never heard of it, we're always affectionately known as MEP. I've been in this position exactly for 90 days. Prior to that, I come from the state of New York, working in their governmental office as the head of small business and technology development, and I have a big career both in the private and public sector. And one of the things I've always looked about is how do we grow small businesses, in particular small manufacturers across this country, especially now when manufacturing's in cool again and everybody wants to be there. So how do we make sure that everyone has a voice at that table? Thank you again for having me on this panel. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Pravina. Rose, would you like to share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Rose Celestin, and I am currently the operations manager for procurement at CareFirst, Blue Cross and Blue Shield. I started my career in supply chain at a very, very young age, and that was in part to me just having a really great mentor who really advocated for me and inspired me to pursue the profession. So I stayed with that company until I reached the director of procurement at the university, which was my first job. And then I moved on to utilities, where I was the senior strategic sourcing lead. I did that for about 3 years. And so of course I'm currently at CareFirst. And then also I'm involved with a lot of trade organizations. Predominantly I'm involved with the Institute for Supply Management, ISM. I previously served on the ISM Diversity Committee. I did that for about 2 years now. I am on the ISM Talent Management Committee, where we actively advocate for diversity and inclusion through all aspects of the talent management process. And then finally, I'm also a leadership contributor for the CFO network for Forbes, and I basically just contribute insights on how to maintain and establish a resilient and agile supply chain.
Awesome, that's fantastic. Thank you, Rose. All right, Jennifer, tell us about yourself.
Wow, tough act to follow, Rose and Pravina. I wish I got to go first. Anyways, my name is Jennifer Pikus. I am the Director of Human Resources, Inclusion and Diversity, and General Affairs for Kia America. General Affairs is essentially all of our facilities, corporate events, those types of things. I'm happily celebrating 5 years with Kia this month. It's been very exciting. I have had a passion for manufacturing for quite some time, although this is really my first time deep within the walls of manufacturing. I've always been in banking and financial services. I came from being an accountant, a CPA, supporting manufacturing organizations, and love that. But then have really focused before Kia in banking and financial services. So coming to a place where I can actually touch and feel and see being made what we do has been extraordinary, and it's been a very exciting 5 years. So thank you so much for having me on this amazing panel, celebrating and recognizing women in manufacturing. I think it's amazing. I'm honored and I'm really humbled to be here today, and hopefully everybody finds a lot of value in what we talk about today. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, excellent. Well, thank you. I mean, your experience is also relevant and inspiring. I will say too, when I hire salespeople, one of the things that they always say too, especially if they've come from like a SaaS background or something like that, is how cool it is to actually be able to like sell something that actually is substantial to them and work on, you know, incredible projects, as Sophia had mentioned earlier. So anyway, great. Well, let's get started. My first question is for Pravina. The manufacturing industry can often conjure dirty, dull, and repetitive images. Can you share your experience of reality, especially around Industry 4.0?
Yeah, great question. So, as I said, I'm with MEP, and we have 51 centers across the United States, so 50 states. We got a center in every state in Puerto Rico. And I always love when people talk about manufacturing as a very dirty, you know, they always think, I'm going to age myself, the old Willy Wonka kind of image. We're going to put a toothpaste cap on a, you know, on a tube of toothpaste, and that's not it. And I always tell people, look, it's 11%. It's actually manufacturing itself is 11% of the U.S.'s GDP. It's a third of our economy. It employs 12 million people. So you think about 12 million people. They're not all doing these dirty jobs. And in fact, we always talk about it. It's a pathway to upward mobility because 81% of the jobs require no work experience for an entry level position. And I tell, you know, and if you think about that, that's pretty interesting. Like, you don't need to have prior experience. They'll teach you on the job. They'll help you get there. And if you like to do things like problem solving, adaptability, creative thinking, work with robots, you know, build new technology, literally watch a machine build a part out, manufacturing's for you, right? They're looking for people who can actually, the jobs are increasing in things like data analytics, AI and machine learning, software and application. And this is a stat I love. The stability in manufacturing has lower turnover, higher job satisfaction than the overall private sector non-manufacturing jobs. In fact, they pay better, almost 7% better than everybody else, and have, you know, more longevity. So when you think of the old thing, think of new, think of robots, think of programming, you know, because automation came. So those repetitive old tasks have been taken over by robots, but you get to tell a robot what to do. You can actually think about how to make a line more efficient. And with manufacturing coming back more and more in the United States, these jobs are becoming critical. Not only we have a huge demand for them, but the supply is dwindling, not only with the retirement of baby boomers, but so it's a fun sector to be in if you want to use your brain and figure out how to do innovative things. Manufacturing allows you to do that, and small medium manufacturers make up a large part of the U.S. economy. So they make component parts for things like Kia and everyone else, and they're actually making that engineering of that small piece to go into a greater thing. So I encourage people to look at manufacturing, and if you're curious and don't know what to do, and you're like, I'm not sure, October 7th, 2022 is Manufacturing Day. And last year they had over 325,000 attendees all over the United States to actually go in and look at a real manufacturer, look to inspire the next generation of skilled workers. And I encourage parents and students and young women, young girls as well, go and see what a manufacturer does. This is a great career path to actually really use your brains and your ingenuity and know-how, and be also an entrepreneur. A lot of these manufacturers are small businesses, and it's you get to be the boss. So I always find that fun.
I love it. Yes, exactly. I feel like it's just like we're just in this Renaissance time. It's really, really interesting and fun to be a part of it as well. All right, Rose, your experience when you first introduced yourself was fascinating. So I'm curious about your experience. You know, tell us a little bit more about your journey and what inspired you to pursue a career in this industry, and, you know, how did you land your first role?
Okay, so my journey is actually like quite unique. I started very, very young. I started way back in 2003. I don't want to age myself, but the opportunity came up because I just heard while I was at an organization that one of the members of the association, she was hiring. And me being so young, I've always had like a sense of independence. And so I really wanted to just kind of try out and see if I could, you know, land that job, because, you know, of course, you know, when you're young, you kind of want some money in your pocket. And after getting my parents involved in the conversation, it's just really pressing the matter and just showing my enthusiasm for wanting to enter the workforce. She actually let me work for her at such a young age. And so that was pretty much my entry into the workforce in general. And I think what really inspired me to just really stick with a career in industry is that she was very strong as far as being an advocate and a mentor for me. She was very hands-on, wanted to make sure that I succeeded in everything that I did. I think that it's interesting that in the survey results, we found that, mentorship is definitely an entry point to industry. And I can personally, echo those sentiments, because I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't like that first stepping stone. So that really propelled me into the industry. I think that my journey, it just all kind of boiled down to just taking advice from my mentor and just making sure that I was always visible within the industry by being involved in different trade associations and just volunteering myself and, trying to find a way to show value to different people and leaders throughout the industry. And then also just, just make myself available and show my value and what I can contribute to the industry. And I think that's what really kept me, I guess, inspired and enthusiastic about staying within the industry. As far as pursuing a career in manufacturing, I just want to reiterate that mentorship and advocacy is definitely a path, but I do also agree with the survey findings around the STEM programs, because I'm a STEM kid, and although I didn't initially pursue a career in industry as something that I really wanted to do, because I originally wanted to be a doctor. I think what really inspired me to stay in the industry, additionally with the help of my mentor, is that I did have that STEM background, and I was able to leverage that in order to just think a lot quickly on my feet and have that analytical insight. And so that's pretty much my journey. I don't want to, I guess, digress or anything, but yeah, I would say that definitely mentorship and advocacy definitely kept my foot leveled.
Oh, that's very inspiring, Rose. And I just want to thank you for sharing that for all of the women that are out there that are in manufacturing, thinking about, people that they can mentor and could bring into our industry is what we really want to see happen. All right, Jennifer, now over to you. So what initiatives are underway at Kia to support, promote, and inspire women at the company?
Thank you. Very good question. As Cathy and others mentioned earlier, training and mentorship is so critically important, leading by example. We think it's very, very important, and we're very excited and committed and sort of recommitted, I would say, to investing in every single woman at Kia. This is very, very important to us, both financially and with just time. We're all so busy right now. Our jobs are extraordinary. We have a fairly small population here, and so everybody here pulls a lot of weight, and so we need to make sure we're giving them that time. We've been recently going through a brand transformation, and our new tagline is movement that inspires. So for us, really embodying that word inspire, and it's been said a couple times already here, so that we can inspire the women of Kia. We're providing a lot of opportunities, including joining this event today, the week of activities with women in manufacturing, completely supporting that financially for our team members, for our females here. And also in conjunction with Women's History Month. This month we're celebrating with a lot of partners that we've selected, doing live events for team members. We're doing one later this month with the WNBA. Very excited about that. And we are in the process of moving forward with our first really more official women's leadership and mentoring program for all of the women here. So there's a lot going on, and we're on sort of early stages of our journey here in this recommitment, and we're really excited about it. Internally, we're continuing to assess our hiring and promotion practices. It's very important that that is a key component of the journey that we're on here. Even over the last 1 to 2 years, we've been able to increase our women leadership team by 10% relative to the current population. So we definitely have a long way to go, but we have a lot of people here who are very committed to making that happen. So thank you for the question.
Great, thank you. So back to Pravina. What progress have you observed within the industry to increase gender diversity?
That's a great question. I want to preface this, whatever I'm going to say, we're not doing enough. We have to continue to do more. So happy to highlight what's going on, but I think we're all cognizant that we always need to do more. So as I said, we at the MEP Center, like last year alone, we worked with over 34,000 manufacturers, right? And we help them retain 125,000 jobs. So we get to see interesting what happens across small, medium manufacturers. So we at MEP actually put a grant together to have 5 of our centers really look into this, from Missouri, Ohio, New Jersey, Iowa, Indiana. You need a national perspective, right? You've got big and small states, to look at offering a national database for our centers to be able to find resources, figure out how to do formal connections, and even do hands-on consulting to help small, medium manufacturers increase diversity, equity, inclusion. And to give them tactics on how to reach people, and also really figure out how to get more into the workforce. And that's a project that's going to take 3 years, right? So trying to get everybody to start thinking about it and giving them tools. But on top of that, looking for alternative sources. And I always say this, everybody goes, we're going to go this way. We have a program that works with recently incarcerated felons that come out, giving them the tools and the trades so that they can get a job in manufacturing, right? And so it's thinking of different resources and places that we don't think of, and having to be able to make sure that there's a playbook that goes, here's how you get trained, here's how we're going to help you connect. And you know, one of the things I say is we do a survey with all our clients, and the number one thing is finding talent, right? Everybody can't find talent. But if we don't look at alternative places to look for talent, not where we normally think about it, we're never going to find the talent. This country is so diverse, but we also don't give the people the skills to be in here. And that's one of the great things about manufacturing, is it's very skill required, but they'll train you. They on the job training, youth apprenticeships, adult apprenticeships, upskilling your skills so that you can get another job and you can increase, and not only in pay and equity, but also rising everyone's quality of life. So we've been trying, and like I said, there's still a lot of work to be done. And you know, in particular, I look on what we're doing now, and more efforts that even the government can support these programs, because it's something that we all recognize. The need is only going to get more, not less, and we haven't found the right talent pool.
100% agree. Rose, you know, piggybacking on that, how do you think we overcome unconscious bias in manufacturing?
Yeah, sure. So I think, so first and foremost, I do think that it's refreshing that from the survey results, we do find that 75% of women in industry, they are likely to recommend a job in manufacturing. So that's definitely showing the progress that we've made as far as advocating for gender equity. But obviously there's still some gaps, right? We also saw that only 1 in 3 professionals, and then also 1 in 4 leaders there are women leaders, or they're women in manufacturing. So I think in terms of biases, unfortunately, I think they still exist in the workplace, right? And also in American culture. I don't think that we can realistically eradicate biases from people's mindsets entirely. However, I do think that we can create this level of awareness and sense of urgency to socioeconomic issues like gender, diversity, equity, and inclusion, so that we can start to see a shift in the way people respond to things like gender gaps. I think that corporations can benefit from DE&I initiatives in a number of ways. And I think communicating those benefits is really going to help us overcome some of these unconscious biases. So some key benefits that come to mind is that, for one, a wider talent pool, I think, increases innovation and also a company's competitive edge. I think that fresh ideas and perspectives from outside of the status quo within company leadership, it could be the catalyst that a company needs in order to unlock various growth potentials, right? I think that the diverse your workforce is, I think the better your company they can innovate, and then also be a disruptor in the industry by pulling in different perspectives from different backgrounds, and also from different walks of life to gain that competitive edge. And then another benefit that comes to mind is that also I think that corporations, they tend to solely focus on the tangible benefits that they provide to their customer base. And sometimes they overlook the fact that people actually care about social issues, right? And how they impact their everyday lives. So I think that companies, they can actually use that to resonate with their customers on a much more personal level, to reach those untapped market segments based on consumer values, beliefs, and lifestyles. I think that this in turn could have a positive impact on customer retention, conversion, and also retention, which I believe would lead to brand loyalty and a strong PR presence. So in terms of overcoming that unconscious bias, I think there's really no better way to communicate corporate social responsibility and then also reap its benefits and by actually putting it into action.
I couldn't agree more. We need to be more purposeful. Exactly. Jennifer, Kia has partnered with the Women in Manufacturing Association to celebrate International Women's Day with a week of activities highlighting women and their success and connecting them to the larger support network. What inspired this collaboration and event series?
Yeah. First of all, Rose, excellent answer. Really touches all of us and is so very critical, something that we've been hugely focused on at Kia as well. So I guess really the question is, why wouldn't we? It seems so obvious, right? As we go through things like this, it was just a very natural and obvious partnership for us as we were thinking about, really elevating on our journey here. Women in Manufacturing is a premier organization supporting and celebrating women in manufacturing, and that's what we want. And to be able to work with the team, with companies like Xometry and others, to do things like this, not only this week, this month, but really throughout the year for our team members. All of our team members, really, the women, but all of our team members is so important. We are really focused on our own journey, internally advancing women, externally, and this partnership here is really a core component of that. Women in Manufacturing offers so many valuable resources for those that have been able to really dive deep into that and look at the webinars and the library and the training and the opportunities. I mean, it's really extraordinary. We do have, internal things that we're working on as well, but we want to be able to offer options. Different people learn in different ways, and we want to make sure that we're providing ample opportunity, both what we do internally and then through our partnerships. I would say for me personally, I've said this throughout my entire career, the most important thing I do is support and coach our team members. And in my role, I have not only an amazing opportunity, but really an obligation to do that and to influence Kia and the things that we can do here to provide the resources. It's extremely meaningful to me to be able to be even just a small part of that.
Thank you. Well, what a great conversation we've had today. Just a real special thank you to you all, Pravina, Rose, Jennifer. I have to say, I'm just truly honored to be a part of this event celebrating Women's History Month with female leaders across the industry. Thank you. Back to you, Cathy.
Thank you, Cathy, and thank you for all panelists today. I just wanted to say, while you guys are presenting, the private chat and question group is like lighting up on fire. Stella said, excellent. Thank you, everyone, for your experience and support. Laurie said, we at Triumph in Seattle work with Xometry a lot. And she also bring up that maybe state statistics can be influenced by how long the Women in Manufacturing chapter has been in existence. So Allison, that's really is an interesting point of view. Jeff mentioned that, does Women in Manufacturing have discussions with women in electronics? If not, I can make an introduction to Allison, to the leaders in Women in Manufacturing. And I like to also mention that Xometry is very involved with women in 3D printing as well. It sounds like we have a lot of intersection of talent, STEM passion, and innovation within our social circles. And Laurie did ask, how do I find out more about the Xometry Foundation? So Laurie, you can go on to xometry.org. And you'll find a lot more information about how you can participate over there. So without further ado, I'm just going to share the screen one more time so you can see all of our Twitter handles, all of our names, the organization we represent. Please don't let the conversation stop here. Anytime if you like to talk to us at Xometry or our amazing panel of guests, feel free to connect with us via LinkedIn. Hey, Allison. Via LinkedIn, on Twitter, and our team had been engaging with a lot of you over social media as well. So yeah, thank you so much for your time today. And we look forward to organizing more events like this in the future with you.